welcome back to Windy Ridge Outdoors. Today we're going to talk about our favorite traps, or at least mine. I can't say ours, but I'm telling you, these
I'm pretty sure in the end it's going to be our favorite trap.
Yeah, I'm telling you though, I am a beaver trapper. I was raised on the water. Anyone who knows any of us Stutlers, we are water trappers. It is our big thing. It's our bread and butter. It's what we're the best at. I have no problem whatsoever saying right now that if you don't trap with us and you're in West Virginia, we're better at beaver trapping than you. I don't care. We are good at beaver trapping. I'll never claim to be better at land trapping than a single soul. But man, whenever it comes to that river, man, we rule that water. We
put them away.
We are the beaver slayers. But we're going to be talking about 5 different traps. We do use all of these.
Yes.
I want to clarify that we use all these traps, and we have very specific
reasons why we use them, where we use them.
They all have different applications.
That's right.
So we've got, I'm going to go through all, and we're going to go through the prices last, because once again, we know prices are very important.
Yep.
Fur's not worth a ton, even though luckily this year the beaver market's kind of had a boom, so we're hoping that we can get some of our money back off our traps. But
we better catch a lot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But so we've got the Duke number 4 coil. We've got the regular old non-offset Bridger number 5. We've got the good old MB750. We've got the new Bridger number 5 dogless. Really nice trap. And then we've got good old TS85s.
Look at that.
Just an absolute monstrosity of a trap. We're going to go over where we use all these traps and why we use them, which ones that we prefer and why we prefer them. So, Duke number 4 coil. We do not like this trap for beaver trapping.
No.
Which is why we only use it whenever we're somewhere where we think we might get a trap stole.
Yep, because there's a lot of thieves out there.
There's a lot of trap thieves, especially on the river. You're dealing with duck hunters. You're dealing with other trappers, people who run rabbits. I mean, you're dealing with a lot of different people on the water. It's all public property, so everyone else is going to be there.
That's right.
So if we are somewhere where we think a trap's going to get stolen, that's getting put in the ground.
That's getting put in the ground.
We
Cheapest thing we got.
Yeah, we do not like this trap for beavers. I don't even really feel comfortable calling it a beaver trap.
A lot of people call it a beaver trap. Real beaver trappers do not call that a beaver trap.
That is not a beaver trap. It is a trap that you use whenever you're...
That's an emergency around a bunch of thieves, or you're running low on your big traps.
Yeah, that's all you use it for. There's nothing wrong. If you're new to trapping and you're trying to save money, you just want to try to beaver trap, you can get it. I would not recommend it. If you are starting beaver trapping, I would not recommend getting it. You can. You're not a bad person if you're getting it.
We're not knocking nobody. This, like I say, we're doing these videos to show you what they can be used for, your prices, all the above.
Exactly. So if you're somewhere where there's a lot of trap thieves, I would recommend getting these. Yep. It's not going to hurt you nearly as bad to get this trap stole as this TS85.
It wouldn't break my heart. This one right here.
I'd kill someone.
Yeah, there's no sugarcoating it. These ones are...
They're not cheap.
They're not cheap.
So we've got, like we said, we've got the Duke number 4 coil. We're going to move on to the good old reliable Bridger number 5. We modify our Bridgers.
Yep.
Most of them come, if not all of them, come 4 coiled. We take the 4 coil off.
Don't need it.
You don't need it. You're making it harder to set. You're not catching a wolf. It's a beaver. They're not that strong.
You're in the water, in the muck, all that stuff. It's hard to find a dry place to stick these on the ground and set them.
Yeah.
You can set these on your leg. You just got to watch your hip waders, your chest waders, whatever.
But we've used them for a long time.
They're great. They're a great trap.
They're a great trap.
For another budget trap.
Yeah, and one thing I will add about them, they have a pretty big pan.
They absolutely do.
And that adds to it. I mean, like I said, I have nothing bad to say about a Bridger number 5. I think they're a great trap. In fact, if you're new to beaver trapping, they're a cheaper. By the way, if you're buying beaver traps, unless you're getting conibears, there are no cheap beaver traps.
Nothing.
None. There are no real beaver traps that are cheap. You're going to pay for them because they're big traps. But they're a good beginner's beaver trap, or they're a good expert beaver trap.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're a good trap. We're going to move on to the MB750. Everyone knows about an MB750 if you're a beaver trapper. They were
Yep.
one of the original. Whenever I was a kid, they were the main one that we ran. Their biggest downfall was they are only a 4-coil. You
Yeah.
can't really
And-
make them not a 4-coil.
And the way they're set up, they're hard to set.
Yeah, they're hard to set. I will give them credit for one thing, that they're a tank.
They are an absolute tank.
Yeah. I mean, they are a super
I mean,
stout
this is-
trap.
As far as the base goes on them, I mean, there's nothing going to tear it up.
Yeah, they're a tank of a trap. Like I said, the only two downfalls I think that they have, for one, they've got a smaller pan,
Small pan.
and they're a 4-coil. You don't need it. You're a beaver trap and you're not wolf trapping. You don't need something that's got that much horsepower. We're going to move on to another Bridger number 5, but this is a brand new trap.
New. I just bought this last year.
It's dogless. It's got a bigger pan. This one's been modified. The 4-coil has been taken off of it once again.
You can't hardly set it with the 4 coils on there. It's an absolute bear.
Yeah, they're just a monstrous trap. But they're a great trap. I mean, and we talked about this. Outside of it's barely smaller than the TS85, but the Bridger number 5 dogless, if you take that 4-coil off, it's very similar to a TS85.
Yep, they're just a little smaller jaws.
But not by much, maybe
Not
an
by
inch,
much.
and
Yeah.
maybe an inch or two. But they're a great trap, super great trap. I don't have I been with you whenever we've used this trap yet?
Yeah, we used it last year.
Yeah. So I mean, if we used it, then it was a good trap. But I have nothing bad to say about it. I don't think there's anything wrong with picking up a couple of them. But now we're going to talk about the big dog, the TS85, good old American-made steel. That is a nice trap.
Huge trap.
Adam introduced me to these traps, about 4 or 5 years ago,
I'd say so.
and ever since I got the chance to try one, there was no going back. Super nice trap. Got a big pan on them. They're 2-coil. You can set them on your knee. I mean, that's a trap. I got big hands. That trap is bigger than my hand. I mean, that is a massive trap.
If I'm not mistaken, they're about 8.5-inch jaws.
Yeah, but you're not. By the way, you're not setting any of these on land.
No.
Yeah,
these are all water traps except for one.
Yeah, and no matter what, where you live, check your local laws and regulations. Make sure you can use these traps here in the great state of West Virginia. We can use any of these traps as long as they're below water.
In water.
They got to be in water. But I'm telling you what, man, you can't go wrong with the TS85s.
not.
They are an amazing trap. We're going to go over price points, and then we're going to talk about what our favorite trap is. So you've got the Duke number 4 4-coil. How much is that going to run?
About $15.95.
That's the reason we use it whenever we're around thieves. I would much rather lose a $15 trap than a $30-some trap. You're talking about half the amount of money. We're going to move on to just the original 4-coil Bridger number 5. How much
Now
is that?
this is where we go back and say, once you get away from the Duke,
You're paying.
You're looking about, I think it's $29.
And you're going to see a lot of these traps are pretty similarly priced. They're very close. And you'll see the MB750 is actually the exact same price. They're $29.
Yep.
You're paying about $30 for both these traps.
Yep.
And even once you go to the Bridger number 5 dogless,
They're 95 cents more.
yeah, so $1 more.
But you also, once you get up to here, I mean, where the pivot point is on all these dogless traps, you've got this whole, it starts from right in here all the way to the end. That's all kill area.
Yeah, you've got a big pan on that trap.
Beaver's got a great big back foot.
Yeah, you need that big pan for that big foot.
And they do great front foot catches because instead of catching down here where they like to spin off and break them off, you can
All the
catch
way
them,
up here in the
you
arm.
catch them clipper toward the shoulder and they're there.
So now let's talk about the TS85. How much does that big boy cost?
They look like they are $31.50 a piece. But this is when we tell you the prices, these are a piece. This is not when you buy them by the dozen, because a lot of places they'll cut you a little bit better of a deal if you buy them by the dozen.
Yeah, and by the way, all of these prices that we've pulled have either been off of Minnesota Trapline products or Murray's. If you go to some local store, they're going to be a lot more.
If you go to a convenience store, more than likely you're going to pay several dollars more per trap if they even carry. Some people don't even carry traps as big as Beaver traps.
Yeah, and the thing is, they're big traps, so they weigh a lot, which means shipping's a lot.
Shipping's a lot.
So you got to add shipping to it. But I am just telling you right now, I know that the price points are similar, but that adds one good thing. This is just my opinion. If you are going to start beaver trapping, I think there's only 2 traps you should buy. you should buy some Duke number 4s,
just in case.
just because people are thieves, and you should buy TS-85s. Those traps are big, they're heavy. There is absolutely, we've been using these for years now, and I have not found a singular thing to complain
There
about.
is not one flaw. They are super easy to set.
Super easy to set, massive pan
And
area.
They snap hard. Then you can go right back to your leg right here, and you're done.
Look at that.
That easy.
That easy.
No struggle.
And one of the best parts about them, they're the biggest trap here, so they're one of the heaviest traps here. When you're beaver trapping, if you're a beaver trapper, you know
You want them drowned.
You want them drowned. You want them drowned. And if you're not using a slide system, which we're going to talk about here momentarily, if you're just running them on chain like we do, you want a heavy trap to get them suckers drowned.
And one trap that we don't have here that works great for also drowning is if you want to carry them and handle them is a double long spring Bridger number 5.
Yeah.
If you just got it set up to where your chain's staked on one side and then they can swim out, they will drown.
They're great for that.
They're amazing, but they are just bulky. They're hard to set.
You can't carry as many of them in your boat.
Yeah.
They're just not. And that's the reason we don't have one here. We don't feel like that's a great beaver trap.
No.
It's just I wouldn't recommend it to anyone.
They're just hard. I mean, some people will tell you they're easy to set, but
unless you've got a pair of setters, they're not that easy to set.
Yeah, unless you got setters.
Luckily we have a big boat. But even in a big boat, they're not easy to set.
They're not easy.
If you're in a canoe or you're in a john boat, man, I'd hate to even try to set them things. And if you're beaver trapping in the water, you're going up on the banks that are mud. You're going to get filthy trying to set that thing. You're going to be sliding all over the place.
Yep.
It is just insane how hard those things are to set without setters. Which we do have a pair of setters.
But
whenever you're in a boat, every inch of space you have is valuable.
Yep.
And I don't feel like it's worth sacrificing that space in your boat to go and set those traps. Yeah, they're heavier, but the value's not there.
No.
But my favorite trap is definitely the TS-85. Can't go wrong with them. Just an absolute tank.
I've got your back on that. These are hands down the best beaver trap. If you're serious about beaver trapping and want to go all out, you have to buy these. And I'll tell you somebody that makes a similar one that we do not have any yet. I will eventually own them, but no BS makes this exact same trap.
And as soon as we get there's 2 traps that we are both going to purchase, and we're going to make a video on both of them.
We got to get them and try them out.
Yeah, but there's that trap, and then there's the new Duke 850. I want to buy one just so I can say I have one, because that trap looks like a tank.
Yeah, big old cast jaws.
It's just a big one. It's a big trap.
It's a brute.
So we don't have those traps yet, but as soon as we get them, we're going to do a video on them. So everybody who beaver traps knows about a slide wire system. The biggest problem throughout all of beaver trapping slide wire history is that it's wire. It gets kinked. It gets ruined.
Cable was the same way.
Cable just has issues.
You catch one good beaver, it's ruined. You got to replace it. You might get lucky. Most of the time, it's junk.
Yeah. So I mean, cable has its place. It's obviously great for snares. It's great for disposable earth anchors, but it's always has had problems with slide wires, beavers. So what did you discover that was invented to take care of that problem?
I have Hags clips. You stake them on one side, and you can use them as slides, or you can just anchor them on one side. You just anchor this. See, I got it backwards here. You anchor it up here like this, then you take this one, anchor it down there, and when he gets caught here, he will take off and slide down that all the way down into the bottom, and he will drown down there because he can't go backwards. As long as you got that stake down in the water and he's down there,
he is not getting back up.
He is not getting back up, and guess what? It is chain. Number 2 chain fits in these Hags clips. These things are amazing.
And they're not that expensive.
They're
either.
not expensive.
And one thing that's really nice about Hag clips, if you don't want to use chain, you can still
use cable.
Yeah, you can still use them with cable.
Or you can just leave it at the end and stake this one side right here, and he can go out there and just get caught and drowned. I mean, this is like an option that's just ridiculous. I mean, you can use it for everything.
We don't have a lot of them yet just because they're so new. We're actually going to test them out and see how much we like them this year.
We didn't get to use them much last year, but what we did, Beavers drown, reset the trap right back. Nothing wrong with the chain.
It's a great invention.
It's amazing.
It was a great idea. I cannot, do you know who invented those actually?
I cannot remember. I can't even remember where I got them from.
I think MB sells them.
I think so.
But they're a really new thing. If you've never heard about them, I would definitely give them a try. Obviously, if you're on our channel, you know we post trapping videos, so you're definitely going to be seeing us use them in action.
But this goes back to your budget trapping. If you got the extra money and you don't want to have to keep replacing stuff, go with the chain setup.
It's going to cost more first, but if you're thinking in the long run, it saves you so much money
and time.
Yeah,
who has time to keep replacing cables? Stick a chain on it. Number two, you can get the cheaper chain. It'll work.
And I'm just speaking from experience because I've been trapping beaver since I was a little boy. My dad made that a priority, and I'm very grateful for that. So ever since I was a little kid, it was very important to him that was passed down to me. And I am telling you, if you run cable, 99% of the time after one or two beavers, that cable is so kinked that it's trash.
And also, we've had instances like on our double long springs where we've caught beavers and they just had cable on them, and he'll get that cable wrapped up and it'll tear his hide.
Yeah, and you know, whenever you're trapping, that's one of the goals. You know, you can't control what that animal, how its hair and its hide with a condition when it got into the trap, but you can control what it looks like when it comes out.
Yep.
So, chain is not going to tear an animal's hide like cable will. You know, anyone who's ever worked with a machinery in a machine shop and shop class or just in your garage and you've ever messed with cable, you know that stuff is sharp. It'll stick you. It does not care.
Yep. Once they put a burr in it and start carrying back and forth, it's just going to make
it
worse.
It's hard on
the chain will never change.
But in the future, we're going to make a video on the different types of lure that you can use for beavers and every other animal that we trap, so stay tuned for that. We really appreciate you guys coming out for this video. We're very passionate about beaver trapping and the different traps that we run. I know that the prices weren't as competitive on these as what they were on the other episodes that we posted, but we really felt like it was important to get the knowledge out there on why we run these traps and the benefits of all of them. Thank you very much for coming out. If you enjoyed the video, leave us a like. If you have any questions trapping related, it doesn't matter what it is. We're all happy to talk to you about it. Just you can leave it in the comment section, or you can message us personally on Windy Ridge Trapper on Facebook. You can also visit windyridgetrapper.online. We have a form on there. You can read about us. You can buy products on there. If you enjoyed it, you can subscribe to see more content coming in the future. And once again, thank you and have a great day. You're gay.